Hi, I'm Dan, this is At Midlife Crisis Motorcyclist, and this is quite obviously not the Yamaha R9 I was hoping to bring you a video on today. But hey, if this is the second prize, absolutely no complaints from me. This is of course the much hyped XSR900 GP, a bike I've really been looking forward to having a go on ever since I first clapped eyes on it, but one that brings with it a fairly hefty level of expectation and kind of begs the question, is Yamaha having a bit of a laugh by charging another $2,500 for what is effectively an XSR900 in an 80s tracksuit? Because there's the thing, nostalgia is a very powerful drug, isn't it? And it's interesting how different manufacturers tap into their respective histories to kind of celebrate their particular golden eras. So if you look at Triumph, Norton, Royal Enfield, people like that, they choose a kind of 1950s and 60s influence for their modern classics and retros for the fact that that was very obviously the era when British bikes ruled supreme. Japanese manufacturers, they look more to the 1970s, so with bikes like the Honda GB 350S and the Kawasaki Z900 RS, which is another bike I'd really like to try out, they celebrate that era when Japanese manufacturers were really coming to the fore and establishing themselves as a force to be reckoned with. Since then we've also had some kind of 80s throwbacks, haven't we, with the reborn Suzuki Katana and this XSR900 GP with its absolutely not cigarette sponsor inspired livery. Underneath that though, is there a decent bike? Wouldn't you take the rose tints off? Well, being based on the Yamaha MT-09 platform is a good start, given that it shares the same 890cc triple, which I know from having ridden the XSR900 is an absolute cracker. It's revvy, it's torquey, it's really, really powerful and exciting to ride. So that is a good start. Like the XSR900, this GP uses the slightly longer Tracer 9 swing arm though, which in theory tames some of the MT-09's more kind of willy-tastic habits. Apparently, I've not tried the MT-09 yet, but I've heard it's a bit of an animal, and the XSR models are just a little bit more chilled in the way they go about their business. We'll have to wait and see. It is a very modern bike underneath that retro skin. So you've got a Delta Box aluminium frame, you've got a 6-axis IMU controlling the traction control, wheelie control, cornering ABS, things like that. They're all configurable via the various rider modes that you've got through the screen. You've got fully adjustable KYB suspension, cruise control, quick shifter, all that kind of thing. So for all the kind of old school looks, it is a very, very modern bike. Also quite an expensive one at over £12,800 for the starting price. But by the time you will have one that looks like this, with what they call the Legend Pack, with the full fairing and the Akrapovic exhaust, that costs another 2,750 quid. So that adds up to a bike costing over £15,500, which is a lot of money, isn't it? It does look absolutely stunning though, I will say that, especially with this full fairing. I love the way that the light has been hidden effectively in the number board on the front, and the whole thing does look absolutely brilliant. Does it live up to that in the way that it rides though? Well, let's go and find out. So, expectation, that's a word I'm going to keep coming back to with this bike, because there's a definite burden of expectation based on the way it looks, on how much it costs, and of course in that racing heritage that the paint scheme represents, but also expectation in the rider, because you turn up on a bike like this and people are going to expect that you know what you're on about and that you can ride in a way that justifies the looks. Now, I said burden of expectation, and it definitely feels like that, because anywhere you take this bike it's going to get all the attention, so you'd better be used to that, and you better be able to deliver on it as well, which I'm not sure if I can, but there we go. But once you get past that, what about the bike itself? Well, I've ridden the XSR900 on which this is based, and of course the engine is the same, and it has that same fantastic zing about it. These Yamaha triples are just savage, I think is the word. The way they pick up, it's effortless. There's just no inertia in the engine, so it feels, they're just... And they've got that savage bark, especially with this a Krapovich exhaust on, just frees up a bit more attitude from it. It's really lovely, and it's in that triple way. It's got the best mix of low-end torque but also top-end reviness and a savagery in the power delivery that I don't remember from the Ducati Panigale V2, which, let's face it, has similar power output and is in a similar price bracket to this as well, once you've added all these bits on this particular bike. So yeah, the Yamaha engine just has an exuberance about it. It just really wants to get going, and this is just in the standard street mode. I've not even explored the spicier modes yet because I've only really just got on the bike, so I'm still just feeling my way around really. So, but oh, listen to that, it's fantastic, isn't it? So yeah, the engine is an absolute standout feature, but then it is on all the bikes it's used on, whether it's the MT09, the XSR, apparently the Chaser 9 as well. I've not tried the Chaser 9 yet, but everybody absolutely raves about it, said the GT is pretty much all the bike you need. So any bike with this engine at its heart, it seems, is going to be exciting to ride. Other expectations? Well, looking at the bike, I expected it to be more extreme in its kind of riding position and manners than it's turned out to be. I was thinking with the clip-ons and all that kind of thing, it would be, you know, proper kind of bum up, elbows down, very kind of on the wrists in terms of the riding position and comfort, but actually it's a more upright bike than I expected. So in terms of the bar position, they are clip-ons, but they're mounted on top of the yokes rather than under them. So I'd say the riding position from memory feels pretty similar to the Panigale V2S, which of course was designed to be a friendlier type of sports bike, more usable, more comfortable. And my riding on this bike so far has been mainly boring motorways, just covering some ground, but it's not proved as excruciating as I feared. So that's a nice surprise. I mean, I'm not going to say it's an all-day comfortable bike, but it's less extreme than I'd feared. So the XSR900, on which it is based, is obviously a little bit more all-rounder because it's got the raised bars and it's got a slightly lower seat as well. But yeah, surprisingly comfortable, even when you're just trickling through a village like this. So that's a pleasant surprise when you're at kind of posing speed, when you want to show off, look at yourself in the reflections of shop windows, things like that. Because let's face it, with a bike like this, that's going to be part of it, isn't it? And then when you hit the open road like this, it's genuinely thrilling. It's a properly exciting bike, and all the tech seems to work as well. It's quite bewildering quite how much configurability there is in the rider mode. You can adjust absolutely everything, the wheelie control, the traction control, and you can adjust it in every single one of the riding modes to your own customised combination. And then there's 2 custom modes as well. I've not even begun to get my head around the different settings and how they affect the ride. So as I say, I've just been riding it in street mode for the moment because I'm not feeling like I need any more bite from the accelerator, that's for sure. And to be honest, I'm quite happy having the safety aids in their more conservative configuration. But if you live with the bike and you've got the time to kind of really dig into those modes and settings, they're all there. And in that way, the combination of old school looks and new school tech seems to work really well. The quick shifter as well is, I don't always use quick shifters, as I've said in videos previously, just because I like the action of changing gear, but on an engine that picks up revs so quickly, it seems more appropriate to be using a quick shifter. It just fits the character of the bike more, so I'm using it more than I usually would. Suspension and handling, well, it feels pretty damn nice to me. Perhaps not quite as pointy as the Panigale. I know I keep coming back to that reference, but that is probably the most recent bike I've ridden with a character like this, so perhaps not ultimately as sharp and pointy as that, but sharp enough, and particularly at kind of road speeds like this, where you can't go absolutely bananas, and you want a bike that rewards you and gives you something back at vaguely sensible speeds, and that seems to be, like the Panigale, and I hope the R9 as well, what this kind of 120 horsepower, 119 to be exact, but that kind of level of horsepower seems like a really, it's like a sweet spot, isn't it, between enough to be exciting but not so much that it feels wasted or you're not getting the most out of it. So, you know, you can use large throttle inputs and not feel like you're leaving huge reserves untapped. But yes, in terms of the suspension, that's fully adjustable. I've not had a fiddle with it. It's straight out of the box as I picked it up from Yamaha, so we'll have to see if I feel motivated to make any changes there. But it feels pretty firm at the front as it's come. Firm but fair, I would say. The rear is a linkage driven monoshock, and again the KYB stuff feels very high quality. It looks very high quality, all the fixtures and fittings like these top yokes, the adjusters, everything's been done with a real eye for detail. So a lot of expectation in this bike for whether or not it would deliver on the promise of the looks. And in terms of just the pure riding experience, it's absolutely fantastic. I think I feel a bit self-conscious perhaps turning up with the full not Marlboro livery, but as a bike to ride and as a bit of an event, it definitely delivers on everything I hope for. It's fantastic, I love it. So there we go, a slightly sweaty and excitable flavour of what the XSR900 GP is like to ride, but hey, it's that kind of bike, isn't it? But now I've had some time to catch breath and gather my thoughts, and looking at it objectively, is it any more than just a posing machine, literally trading on Yamaha's past glories? Is it just motorcycling cosplay for the fact that the bike underneath is totally modern, everything under there is totally contemporary, and really it's just the bodywork and livery that makes it quote-unquote special? Well, it's an interesting point, isn't it? Because in terms of the pure riding experience, you could get pretty much all of that from the XSR900 for quite a lot less money. You could probably go faster on the R9, and that's cheaper as well. So really the only thing that sets this bike apart is the style, but that is really good, and I think you would forgive it a lot of things for the fact that it just the way it will turn heads, the way it just raise smiles in people. Every time you go to the garage and look at it, it'll put a huge great grin on your face, and I think motorbikes should be able to do that. So I don't think there's anything wrong with that, and Yamaha is well within its rights to just have a bit of a celebration, have a bit of fun with its heritage like this. So sure, there are more authentic ways to go retro, but if you just want to have a bike that is just a celebration of all Yamaha's past achievements, then there are worse ways of doing it than this, aren't there? In terms of riding the bike, I've just scratched the surface of what it can do so far, but there will be another video coming where I get to ride this on the track and really kind of stretch it to its limits, hopefully, so that'll be interesting. Stay tuned for that. And in the meantime, I'd really like to hear your views. Is it just a posing machine, or is it one of the coolest motorbikes of recent years? Let's have a chat in the comments. Hope you liked the video, and if you did, please hit like. If you're not subscribed already, please do so. And for now, I'll say goodbye, thanks for watching, and ride safe.